Welcome to our monthly session, question and answer session. We will begin our first question with Olivier from Paris. Please go ahead.
Okay, so today I have two questions from Facebook. The first one is, can you explain to me what the Buddha mean by dukkha? Most of teachers say dukkha is suffering, but life is not always suffering. Sometimes we are not happy, sad or suffer, but sometimes we are happy or at least neutral.
Yes, what he meant by suffering or unpleasantness feelings is that life is not only happiness. Life is mixed with suffering or unhappiness. And when unhappiness arises, it seems like nothing else is. So it seems like life is unhappy. That's why people kill themselves, because when they face with unhappiness or unpleasantness, they cannot face it. So the Buddha has to stress that life is not only happiness. Life is like a coin with two sides. You have both happiness and sadness. So this is the meaning of the Buddha's teaching. He wants to point to us the other side of the coin, which we try to forget, try to not recognize it. So when we come across it, we cannot face it. But if we know that life is both happiness and sadness, that we should learn how to deal with the sadness part. Once we know how to deal with it, then we can be happy even when we are sad. We don't have to commit suicide when we are sad.
Some people will translate by the insatisfaction. Life is
it's everything negative is considered dukkha, whether it's body or mind. Unpleasantness feeling of mind or body is dukkha. Dissatisfaction, when you lose something, these are all dukkha. The downside of life, let's put it that way. Life has both up and down. The upside we call happiness. The downside we call unhappiness or sadness or dukkha.
So the second question is in the third part of the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha says, when our mind is restless, confused, negative, mindful, or free, we have to know it, if it's here or not. Does it mean that we have to be aware of each of our thinking and emotion at each moment when it occurs? Can you explain me how to apply this in my daily life?
Well, this third part is the more advanced part of the practice, which for ordinary people like you would not be able to deal with this part yet, because your mind is not equipped with the equipment to deal with this part of the mind. You have to develop the tool to deal with this changing in your life. There are changes in your life. There are three of them in your body, in your feeling, and in your mind. And you need to develop mindfulness. You have to practice meditation to completely calm your mind first. Once your mind is calm, then you can then use the tool that the Buddha gave us. That is the three characteristics of everything. Whether body or feeling or mind have these three characteristics. They are changing, meaning anicca, impermanent. By their nature, when they change, they cause you unpleasantness. And the third characteristic is anatta. It's not under your control. They are not under your control. Your body, your feeling, or your mental state of mind is not under your control, always. Sometimes you can control them and sometimes you cannot. And the way to deal with the time when you cannot control them is to use mindfulness and wisdom, to teach your mind just to let go. When you're sad and there's anything you can get rid of the sadness, just bear with it for a while. eventually it will disappear. It will change to something better. Yeah. And something better will then will be changed into something worse again. This is the way things work with the three parts of our existence: our body, our feeling, and our mental state of mind. They keep changing. But if you know how to deal with this thing, you can rise above this thing. Will not be able to affect it by the changes. This is the goal of Buddhism, to rise above the changing of the body, of feeling, and of the mental state of mind. By leaving them alone, by treating them like natural thing, like the wind, like the rain. You cannot do anything with them. You just have to leave them alone. Then you will not be affected by their changing, by their coming and going, by their rising and falling. This is the goal of the practice of the Satipatthana Sutta. But you have to go from easy to hard. The first part, the easiest part is the body, because you can see it very clearly. The next part is your feeling of happiness, sadness, and neutral feeling. Then the next step is to go to the mental state. These are more subtle, harder to see. But if you see them, if you can treat them as the rain and the sun, then you are okay. Just treat everything like the rain and the sun. Sometimes you can do something about it. If you can do something about it, do it. If you cannot do it, the best way is just to leave it alone. It will go away sooner or later. Nothing lasts forever, whether good or bad.
Thank you for this teaching. It's very profound. But I want to just make a point here. You say all the thinking and emotion are impermanent.
Yeah.
They don't belong to us, like anatta. But why we do samatha meditation? Because in samatha meditation we want to stop our thinking. But if it's not belong to us, how can we stop something that belong to us?
We can stop them some of the time, see, not all the time.
Okay.
Like the body, you still look after your body, because sometimes you can look after it. You look after it because you need it to make you happy. See, so if you're hungry, the body is hungry. You have to feed it. So to make it get rid of the hunger. But sometimes you might not be able to feed your body. Then you just have to leave it alone and live with the hunger. But if you can still do it, you do it. See. But eventually what we want to do in our practice of meditation is to instill or develop the mental strength of mind to be able to stand above everything. That's the goal. And to let go of everything eventually. The body, the feeling, and the mental state of mind.
So first we have to develop samatha, and after we can watch our body, our sensation, and in last, our thinking.
By
and
seeing
emotion.
them as the three characteristics.
See them as the characteristics, yes. And so now we can, like for people start to meditate, they can start by samatha, of course, and after that they can do their body.
Yes.
When you say the body, what they have to do? They have to do the sensation in the body?
No, to know that the body, once it's being born, it's gonna get old, get sick, and die, and accept it for what it is. Yeah. And the body is not beautiful, so you can then stop your craving for other people's body, your lust for other people's body, because if you can see the unpleasant part of the body, then you don't want to have anybody to be your friend, to be your lover, because you're having a corpse, a living corpse as your lover. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Question number 1 from MS India. Is it possible to practice in order to develop upekkha, or is upekkha the result of nibbana?
Upekkha is the result of the practice of samadhi and wisdom. First you develop by the practice of samadhi, but it will be temporary. Once you have the upekkha from samadhi, then you use wisdom to transform it to be permanent upekkha. Then it becomes nibbana.
Question number 2. How can we practice the 4 foundations of mindfulness throughout the day, especially the last 2 foundations, the mind and the Dhamma?
I think you go too far. You're just starting on a kindergarten, so you should learn to recite the ABC and the 1, 2, 3 first, before you can go to study science or engineering or physics. You need to have the 2 first. So when you start, you should start with developing mindfulness. Try to contain your mind, control your mind, your thoughts. And then once you can have mindfulness, then the first thing you need to do is to calm your mind by meditating until you become completely calm. Once you have this tool, then you can start to study the nature of the 3 things that you are attached to, which cause you suffering or worry and anxiety. So you have to study. Once you have the tool of mindfulness and samadhi, then you have to study the nature of these 3 things to see them as impermanent, as causing suffering, and it's not under your control. They are not under your control. The body, the rise and cease. Both, once it's being born, it will be subject to aging, sickness, and death. If you don't want to suffer with your body, then you have to let it be. Same way with your feelings. You have pleasant feeling, you have unpleasant feeling, you have neutral feeling. You cannot always control them to be pleasant. They come and go, they keep changing, replacing one another. But you can be free from suffering by just leaving them alone. The same way with your mind. Your mind keeps having different emotion. Sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're sad. Sometimes you feel good, sometimes you're in heaven, you feel blissful. These are things that keep changing in your mind. You can rise above them, not be affected by them, by not indulging in them. Our problem is we indulge in these things, indulge with the body, indulge with the feeling, indulge with the mental states. So when they change into something unpleasant, we could not handle them. But if we don't indulge them, then we can handle them, because they will not affect the mind, the one who knows.
Question number 3, Michael from Brazil. In the book Wisdom Develops Samadhi, it is mentioned that one should first fix attention of the breath at the tip of the nose and do it until it becomes skilled. Then one will progressively understand the nature of the contact of in and out breath until it seems that the breathing is located either in the middle of the chest or the heart. My question is, could Ajahn please elaborate a little bit more about how to practice this transition of the feeling of the breath from the nose to the middle of the chest or to the heart?
There's no need to explain. Here is something that you have to do. All you need to do is just focus your attention at the tip of your nose first, because it's the easiest part to feel. But as you progress, your mindfulness becomes stronger, then the feeling of the breath will be more obvious on your chest. It becomes natural. But you don't have to follow the breath to move to your chest. You can still keep at your tip of your nose. When you meditate for calm, the best way is to stick at one point. Don't keep changing the point of focus, because it will keep the mind working. See, you want to stop the mind from working, from doing anything. So you want to just focus on one point and just be aware of the breath at that point alone. But you might realize that the breath now seems stronger at your chest. But it's just something that you just be aware and let go. Or if you like, you want to switch to the point where it's more obvious, that's okay also. But the point is still to keep the mind focused and not thinking about anything, even about the breath itself. Just be aware.
Question number 4. I practice meditation about 5 to 6 hours per day. I can experience a calm mind without thoughts. I believe I've experienced Upachara Samadhi, but my mind has never entered Appana Samadhi. In general, I feel very intense tingling in my ears. Could that be the reason why my mind does not enter into Appana Samadhi? Or would Ajahn direct me to other issues that can be an obstacle to Appana Samadhi?
Yes, the problem is you not keep focusing on your breath or on your meditation object. Once you start to feel pleasant in your mind, you forget your meditation object. You should keep focusing on your meditation object, whether the breath or the mantra, and don't let the other thing distract your mind away from your concentration. So you have to come back to the breath or your mantra, whichever you use as the object of your meditation. Don't let the feelings that arises or the images or things arises distract you from your work. You still have to keep on focusing because your mind hasn't yet dropped to its base, dropped to where it becomes fully, completely calm. So you have to keep on focusing, concentrating on your meditation object.
Question number 5. While being alone is good for practice, I develop vipawa tanha towards other people. I dislike it when friends or family are visiting, as I feel that people are either would want to take advantage of me or would want my help in terms of my time or money. I feel that people are just disrupting my routine and my peace. What is the remedy to eliminate vipawa tanha, especially the feeling of dislike towards others disrupting my peace?
Well, you have to accept the reality of life, that we are a social animal. We cannot live alone. We have to live with other people. So we need each other. So when the time for them to need your help, you should not neglect your duty. Except you might be able to do what you might be able to do it in a controlled manner, in a way that will not jeopardize your practice, like telling people to see you at a certain time, not at any time. Like me, I have to put on a message at my hut, my house. Say, I do not accept any guests here. If you want to see me, you have to come to the classroom. I'm a teacher. So come here every day from 2 to 5, 2 to 4, and I will be willing to help you with whatever I can. So you have to share your life with other people, because someday you might have to need other people's help. Because you can get sick, you can become incapacitated, and you need other people's help. So by helping other people, you are paying forward. And when the time comes, it will come back to you. So you have to pay. You cannot just take and not give. Life is both give and take. But you can control this process so that you can have both your privacy and your duty. Yeah.
Question number 6. Claudio from New Zealand. Is sharing of merits after I make merits really work, and how does it work?
It works only with the spirit who is waiting for your help. See? If there are no spirit come to ask for your help, sharing it will not do anybody any good. So, but it's just the general belief that once you have make some merit, you can share this merit. So just might as well share, just in case if some spirit is waiting for your help, then they can accept, then they can use that help. But it's very minimal. The merit that you share is compared to the water left in the glass. When you drink the whole glass, there's still some droplets of water stick to the glass. That's the kind of thing that you dedicate or share with other other spirit. So it's not something that we should consider very important. Yeah. It is important for the spirit who needs it, because a few droplets can still make its life better than nothing. So that's why when we make some donation or do some charity, we can share this feeling of fullness with the spirit who is hungry for something to make it full.
Question number 7, Naomi from Canada. Staying at the monastery, I have been sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. I know the Buddha recommended 4 hours of sleep per night, but I haven't yet seen the benefits from reducing my sleep. What are the benefits of reducing sleep?
You have more time for practice. So you get closer to Nibbana, see? Because you are racing with time, because you don't know when your time will be up. It doesn't mean that you're gonna die when you get old. You might die before you get old. So this is why the Buddha said, don't be complacent. Try to instill a sense of danger, that you are being chased by the time, by death itself. So you don't want to, just waste your time by sleeping when you don't really need that sleep. Because sleeping is really for the body, not for the mind. And the body actually needs about 4 hours a day. But if you haven't yet developed that ability, because you are still hooked on sleeping as part of being happy. But this is just a habit that you can change by trying to reduce them gradually. From 7 you can reduce down to 6, from 6 to 5. And it also depends on the advance of your practice. The further you advance, the stronger your mindfulness. The more you become awake, and you don't feel you need the sleep. And you want to have this sense of urgency to remind you that your time can be up at any time. So you should use this time that you use for sleeping to develop your mind, to get your mind out of this rounds of cycle of rebirth. So this is the benefit of not sleeping too much.
Is it depending also if we work or if we don't work? Or
that's right. When you work physically, you need more time to rest. But if you are a full-time meditator, then you don't do too much working. We only walk, Jongkong, which instead of tiring the body, it also help energize the body. You do exercise by walking, meditation, to energize the body. But you don't work like you work 8 hours a day, and traveling back and forth. This can cause a lot of fatigue on your physical body. But as being a full meditator living in the monastery, you don't do any physical work. So your body don't need that much rest.
Question number 8. Does needing less sleep always happen naturally?
Pardon?
Does needing less sleep always happen naturally?
As you advance in your practice, you find you need less sleep.
And is it advisable to try to sleep less even if I feel tired?
Well, it depends on whether your tiredness is physically or mentally. Sometimes you feel tired even your body is not tired. Then try to insist on not sleeping and do it until you fall asleep. Then you know it's your body that needs to sleep.
Question number 10. When reciting a mantra during walking or sitting meditation, I find it easier to stay with the mantra when I use a set of words such as the 5 faculties, Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Is this correct, or is it better to use just one word such as Buddho?
Or you can adapt to your situation, because the goal is to stop you from thinking about other things. Sometimes one word can be too repetitive, so you want to use a few more words. Some people even use chanting. Monks will use the chanting of the Patimokkha, the 227 monastic rules, as a way of developing mindfulness. When we walk Chongkam, we keep reciting this Patimokkha. Or some lay people can recite the triple gem, the quality of the triple gem. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho bhagava. This depends on the state of your mind. If your mind is more active, more restless, then you need something more to calm it down. But once your mind becomes calm, you might not feel you need to do this chanting, then you might just want to use a mantra. Or even if you don't want to use a mantra, you can just observe your action, your walking, by watching your steps, left, right. This can be also done. You have to adjust accordingly, according to your state of mind. The mind is like an automobile. When you start, you have to use the low gear, first gear. But once the mind starts to, the car keep rolling faster, then you can shift it to second and third and so forth. It's the same way with the mind. When you start meditating, your mind is still very active from the activity that you did before coming to meditate. Then you might want to slow it down by chanting first. If you cannot focus on your breath, or you cannot recite a mantra, then you might want to recite something longer to get the mind to calm down. And once you feel that the mind become calmer and you can recite the mantra or just watching the breath, then you just use that instead.
Question number 11. Is it possible to attain jhana while reciting a sutta such as the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, or while reciting a mantra such as Sattha Viriya Sati Samadhi Panya?
Anything is possible as long as you stop thinking. Sometimes you don't have to even recite anything. If you just happen to be alone, left alone by yourself, all of a sudden your mind can enter into jhana. It depends on maybe your past life, whether you have already developed jhana before. If you had, and if the condition is conducive for jhana, it will just enter into jhana automatically. So anything is possible, but this can be considered exceptional. It's not always the rule. So you just have to find the way to get into jhana. Each individual has their own different path to enter into jhana. But it is the same technique, is to prevent your mind from thinking. As soon as you can stop thinking completely, you will then enter into jhana right away. Go ahead.
Question number 12. Although I'm staying at a monastery, following the 8 precepts and trying to develop mindfulness and concentration, at night my dreams are filled with music, dancing and social gatherings. Why is this so, and what should I do?
That's because you've been doing this when you are awake. So it still keep linger in your mind when you sleep. When you have no mindfulness to stop it, then it will come up. We call this past karma. See, whatever you did before in your past, it will come back to haunt you later in your dreams and in your spiritual life. Because when you have no body, then you will have no control of your mind. Then your past karma will be the one that will take over your mind. If you did bad things, all these bad things will come back and haunt you. If you do good things, all the good things will come back and haunt you. So try to do good things. Try to do things that makes you happy. Then when you have no body or when you sleep, you will have good things arising in your mind.
Question number 13. Some friends are planning a trip to Thailand to pay respect to you, as well as some other great Ajahns. I am considering going along as well for inspiration. Would you consider this to be a meritorious, good use of time, or would you consider it better for lay people to stay at home and practice by ourselves in our own country?
It depends on the result from your action. You always weigh the pros and cons of your action. If by staying you gain more than going, then it's better to stay. If going you gain more by going than staying, then you should go. But if you get the same result, whether you go or you stay, then you can decide whatever you want. Yeah. This is the answer Ajahn gave to monks when they asked for permission, for advice, whether they should go and practice alone by themselves. Ajahn said, well, you just have to consider pros and cons of your action. If you stay and you are better to stay, then it's better to stay. If you go, you are better when you go, then it's better to go. But if it's the same whether you go or stay, then you can either go or stay. It doesn't say which way. You have to decide for yourself. Because each individual has different needs. See. Some people need the advice of teachers, so they have to go to see teachers. Some people don't need the advice anymore. They can practice on their own. Then there's no need for them to go see teacher.
Question number 14. When sitting down to meditate, I find that I can calm my mind down more easily when I pay attention to the feeling of the breath in the entire area of the lungs. Once I have maintained attention to that broad area for a few minutes, then I focus my attention on the feeling of the breath in a small area between the lungs, at the diaphragm, and I focus there as long as possible. Is this correct practice that will lead to jhana?
Well, the correct way is to focus at one point. Don't move around. No, when you move around, you keep the mind busy. Then when the mind is busy, it cannot enter into jhana. The mind will only enter into jhana when it's not busy, when it has nothing to do except watching or being aware. So you have to find the right spot for your concentration and stay right there, keep it there. Then the mind will then eventually become nothing to do. Then it will then become calm.
Question number 15. Is it important for the point of concentration to always remain exactly the same from day to day, or is it okay for the point of concentration to change according to what feels comfortable when establishing awareness?
Well, it doesn't matter as long as you have something to focus on. Yeah. If it's at the tip of the nose today, tomorrow it's in the middle of your chest, you can use either places. But you have just to use one and not moving around once you have found the right place.
And can we switch in the same meditation? For example, we start with the breathing on the nose, and after we go to the middle of the chest, and after we go to the abdomen.
No, you shouldn't. You just find one place. Yeah. Okay. When you first start, you might find whichever more obvious to you. But once you found it, then you should stick with that place. Or else you'll keep moving around. After being here for a few minutes, maybe I should go there. Maybe then you just keep moving around. You shouldn't be moving around. You should just stay fixed at one point.
Question number 16. If a person decides to quit their job and leave their spouse in order to meditate full time, but then within a few years they don't attain the result of samadhi, is it possible that they will get the feeling of remorse over having left, and that they will feel that they lost everything and all the happiness they had through their lay life? How can a person be sure it is the right time to leave, and then that they won't regret their decision?
Well, just think when you die, you lose everything anyway. So whether you have remorse or no remorse, eventually you die and you lose everything that you have. But by giving up what you have and then getting something new to replace it, maybe you won't lose everything after all. Because what you gain from meditation, you can take it with you. But the other happiness you have through your body, you cannot take it with you. Your wealth, your status, your family, anything that you have earned in your life, you cannot take them with you. But what you have developed in your meditation practice, you take it with you. You can take mindfulness with you. You can take wisdom with you. So if you know how to think properly, you won't feel remorse, because you will always. It's a better alternative than what you have been doing now, because eventually you're gonna lose them all, and you will go empty-handed. But when you give up your wealth to your spouse, you are doing charity already, and you keep the precept. This thing you can take it with you. When you meditate, you can take it with you. Your ability to meditate, to concentrate, you take it with you. So you're not losing if you know how to look. When even after you decide to come back to your other life, you still take your ability to focus, to meditate with you, and you might be able to use them in times of trouble.
Question number 17 from Kevin. When I start practicing meditation more regularly, I have a lot of dreams. Because of that, I feel that my mind is not well rested. Why is this so? And is there a way to reduce or stop dreaming?
Because you used to be active all the time. So when you meditate, you're stopping this activity. So it then comes up while you sleep, because you have no mindfulness to prevent it from happening. But it's no big problem, because it's something that you cannot do anything about. It's the result of your past karma, your past activities, that they will need a place to come up when the mind is not being controlled by mindfulness. So when you sleep, you probably dream a lot at first, because the activity needs an outlet. Because while you're awake, you keep controlling the mind from daydreaming. So it comes up when you dream at night. But after a while, when your mind becomes calmer and you do less activity, then this dreams will decrease gradually, and eventually you will hardly dream.
Question number 18 from Ravi. In the book Patipada, it is mentioned that one should use parikarma word that suit each individual's tendencies and character. Now I use the parikarma word Buddho. How do I know if it suits me as per my tendencies and character?
Just do it first, see whether you get any result. You feel comfortable with it or not. If you don't feel comfortable, then maybe it's not suit your character. You might want to change to death, anicca, 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 or anatta, anatta. Some people find using different words more appropriate for them. They feel more acquainted with each different word. So you can choose. It's like eating food. They are all food. They give you the same result, but you still choose, right? Sometimes you like burgers, sometimes you like spaghetti, sometimes you like pizza, sometimes you like salad. And this is not the thing I asked for. So just an example. Sometimes when I say things like this, people say, "Oh, Ajahn wants some pizza. Next time I come, I have to buy him some pizza." No, it's not what I wanted. Just to give you an example.
Question number 19. As I spend more time practicing, like reading Dhamma books, chanting and meditating, I lose interest in material things, people and work. My dislike towards others is increasing. I dislike it when I see people hanging around, lying, cheating, and etc. But I still need to continue to work and share loving kindness to people around me. Can Ajahn please guide me?
Yes, you lack wisdom. You should develop wisdom that people are not the same. People are like trees, like fruits. Some are mangoes, some are apples, some are bananas. So they have to be what they do, what they are. And they can change if they wanted to. But if they don't know about this, then they keep doing the same thing. If they like drinking, they'll keep on drinking. If they like gambling, so forth. So this is something you have to understand and tolerate and accept them for what they are. Simply because you change yourself doesn't mean everybody will change with you. So you need to have some wisdom in order to get rid of this bad feeling toward other people.
Question number 20 from France. Does Tudong practice still exist in Thailand, and what is the purpose of this practice?
Well, the word Tudong means the austere practices. It doesn't mean you have to be wandering in the forest, because this is one of the Tudong, but there are 12 other tudong that you can apply. For monks, these are especially for monks, but as lay person, you can adapt them accordingly. Like monk takes the vow of going on bintabat, collecting food every day. If he's not sick, he will go on bintabat rather than buying food or order food, because sometimes you have lay people support you. This is not the way for monk to live. Monks should live by their own effort, because by going on bintabat, collecting food can instill the sense of energy to get rid of some of the laziness and make it eating simple way, eating simply, not eating according to your cravings, eat according to what you're given. See, so this is one of the tudong, is to go on bintabat or collecting food. Second is to eat in the bowl. You put all the food you have, you're gonna eat, put them in the bowl. And sometimes if you have a lot of defilement, you want to choose this kind of food or that kind of food, you can mix them all up and say eventually they're gonna go into your stomach anyway, and they're all gonna mix in your stomach. So this is a way of getting rid of your defilements concerning food. These are tudong, austere practices. And one of the tudong that we mostly think of is to stay in the forest. See? So we think, this is the tudong practice. But if you stay in a monastery, a forest monastery, you're also observing this practice, because in the forest monastery you have forest, and you're living in the forest. But as far as monks going from one part of the forest to the next, there are still some monks who do this, but might not be as prevalent as before, because of the situation of the world has changed, and there are lots of danger in the forest, because you have all kinds of warring people trying to attack each other, and they sometimes can be suspicious of you, thinking you might be a spy or something. So you have to be quite caution before you go running in the forest. You have to ask the villagers, people who live there, whether it's safe or not for you to go wandering in the forest. Because there were news before that some monk get caught and got killed because they're suspicious that the monk was spying for the government, for instance.
Question number 21. There are many well-respected monks in Thailand who practice white magic with the making of amulets that's supposed to bring good luck. What is Thanajan's thought about this type of practice?
Well, it's not the teaching of the Buddha, that's for sure. So I don't want to use my thought, because I could be attacked for using my thought. So it's safer to use the Buddha's teaching as the measurement of whether it's the right practice or not. The Buddha teaches us to teach Dhamma, to give Dhamma to people. This amulet, they are not part of the Buddha's teaching.
Question number 22 from Danilo. I work in a factory where cows and ox are slaughtered. I don't kill them. My job is to remove the organs and clean the meat. Do I accumulate a lot of bad karma because of my work?
Yes, because you're benefiting from the death of these cows. So if you don't want to be part of this, then you should find a new job.
Question number 23 from Govida. How to end the desire for romance, and what is the quickest way to eliminate the desire for not to be alone?
The quickest way is to, I guess, if you can become a monk, and this is one way, but it depends on how long you can remain a monk. Once you become a monk, the next step is to contemplate on the corpses of the body a lot, contemplate on the 32 parts of the body. Then this will get rid of your romance, because you know that you are romancing with a corpse, with a living corpse, with the 32 parts of the body.
Question number 24 from Donald. Is it okay to criticize monks or nuns Does this constitute sowing seeds of discontent among the Sangha, and will one be sent to hell for doing so?
It's not good to criticize anybody. It's good to criticize yourself. If you want to criticize anybody, criticize yourself, because you will then reap the benefit of your criticism. If you criticize other people, you don't reap any benefit, and you might create enemies. So it's better not to criticize other people. But it doesn't stop you from being aware of people's, whether they are good or bad. You can just observe, but you don't need to criticize them. It's just for your own benefit to know whether people are good or bad. So then you can avoid bad people and associate with good people. But no need to criticize them, tell them, oh, you're bad, you should improve yourself, so forth. This is not your business. Yeah.
Question number 25 from Sheila. The Buddha said that we should live with the wise or be alone. Now I stay with my parents as my father is sick, but there's no Dhamma in my family. I struggle to practice, seeing them looking for a way out through sensual pleasure, and there's a subtle rejection and sometimes mocking of my practice. I really want to help them. Please advise me what I can do best.
Well, you have to do what kind of help you need from you. If they don't need your advice, then don't give them. If they need your help to feed them, to look after the body, then give them that. Because you cannot give people things that they don't want. Yeah. So to give only things that they want, and what they don't want, you just don't give them.
Question number 26 from Lyon. Can someone develop a mindless mind?
Everybody is mindless already. It's only people who practice meditation who have mindful mind. But for people who doesn't practice mindfulness, they have mindless mind. They go crazy. They go kill people. They go hurting other people. These are mindless mind. Who do these things? People who don't hurt other people means they have some mindfulness. Yeah. Maybe not fully, but at least they have the mindfulness not to hurt other people.
Question number 27. Ajahn's teaching about citta, where the citta is the one who knows, and the citta is also the thing that rises and ceases. It sounds like a semi-eternalism. Can Ajahn clarify this?
The mind itself is forever. It isn't destroyed. It's not created nor destroyed. The one who knows. But the things within the mind keep changing, like the thought, the feelings, the emotions in the mind. They keep changing, like the sky and the clouds. The sky is always there. It doesn't change. But what changes are the clouds in the sky. The mind, the one who knows, is like the sky. Sometimes it's completely empty, without any clouds, without any emotion or thoughts. Sometimes it's filled with thoughts and emotion. It's the same way like the sky and the clouds in the sky.
Question number 28 from Sarana. In regards to your statement that are now a source of surprise among Western monastics that the Buddha can contact somebody even after his parinibbana, could you supply a Pali text to support the idea that the Buddha can contact somebody in the human world even after the Buddha's enter parinibbana? And could you also supply a Pali which would support the idea that it is possible to contact minds that don't have physical bodies?
Yes, the Buddha said to the monks one time, when he picked up a bunch of leaves in his hand and asked the monk, the leaves on my hand and the leaves in the forest, which are more? The monk said, it's obvious, the leaves in the forest is more than the leaves in your hand. The Buddha said, this is exactly the same thing with my teaching. What I teach you are like the leaves in my hand. But what I know, I don't tell you about. They are leaves in the forest. So these are things that practitioner will be able to see. Once you practice and if you have the ability to contact with the spiritual beings, then you would have no question. You don't, whether you can still contact the Buddha or not, contact the Arahant or not. Because the Buddha and the Arahant, they still remain the spiritual beings. And if they want to contact you, they can open up the channel. It depends on whether they open up the channel to contact other beings, other spiritual beings or not, or human beings. So this is something that you have to see it in your practice. It's not in the teaching, because these are the things that the Buddha don't want to teach, because it can cause a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. It's better for you to realize it in your practice, because it's not necessary for your enlightenment. The Buddha only teaches the Dhamma that is necessary for your enlightenment, which will teach you the Noble Eightfold Path. Other than that, he try to not to teach. But occasionally he will tell story like his past lives, what he was before he became this. Yeah. But there are things that he might not mention, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because the scripture isn't the sole guarantor of the truth. Yeah. It's only a fraction of the truth that a person can experience from the meditation practice.
Question number 29 from Eric. In the early man periods, 100,000 of years ago, when there was no religion and Dhamma teachings, does the Nibbana and hell realms apply in those periods?
Yes, Nibbana and hells are always there, and they are the product of your karma. In prehistoric time, people still kill, people still steal, people still make charity, help other people. So it's all the same throughout the ages, as far as the mind is concerned. The mind keeps doing good karma and bad karma, regardless of the physical situation. And the result of good or bad karma results in heaven or hell, result in Nibbana. So these are always there. That's why the Buddha said the Dhamma teaching is timeless, because karma is timeless. Regardless of the age and time, people still keep doing good or bad karma. Whether they live in a cave or whether they live in the condos, they still do good or bad karma. They don't change.
Have 4 more questions in the comment.
Yeah, please go ahead.
From Kittipat. I am a man with a quick temper, especially when facing a certain stimulus. What would Ajahn advise that I start doing in order to lessen the temper, or at least keep it under control?
You should you should decrease your expectation. Your expectation can cause you to become angry easily when you don't get what you expect. If you switch your attitude from expecting things to go like this and that, and just say, well, whatever. If it goes right, okay. If it doesn't go right, okay. So when things go wrong, you won't get angry. So you need to switch your attitude toward things and people. Don't expect them too much. Rather than expecting them, just let them present themselves, whatever they are, what they want to do or give you, then accept them for what they are. Then you won't get angry at anybody or at anything. This is what we call sandot, mean happy with what you have and thankful for what you get. Don't expect anything, then you won't get angry.
Next question from Chin. I find that I cannot feel the breath at the tip of my nose. It is easier for me to focus on the sensation of my 2 hands touching each other or my heartbeat. Can I use these as meditation objects?
Well, it's not in the scripture. The Buddha didn't teach it. But if you can enter into jhana that way, you are welcome to do it. Look at the result, whether it is producing the result that you want or not. If it does, then you can use it. Like I say, the scripture is not the sole guarantor of the Buddha's, of the practice of meditation. There are many different other methods.
Second question from Jin. Do we need Appana Samadhi to attain Sotapanna?
All you need to have equanimity in order to resist your cravings and your defilements. Without it, knowing even you know the three characteristics, you can still not let go of the things that you attach to.
The last question from Varataya. Is it correct to say that if one has strong mindfulness and wisdom, one can actually control one's thoughts?
One can actually control one's defilements. Yeah. One cannot control one's thought all the time, even with strong mindfulness or wisdom. As long as the thoughts are not harmful, then you just leave it alone. Yeah. Only when the thoughts start to become harmful, then you can stop it. Yeah.
When I reach a climb state, the small noise can cause a strong shock in my body. It feels like an explosion and disturbs the climb. How can I get over this problem? Thank you.
If it's something that happens beyond your control, then you just use your mindfulness to maintain your calm. Because it only happens instantly. Once it appears, it disappears. So if you have mindfulness, then it will be just like a bump in the road. Once you go across the bump, once you pass it, then it's already gone. So what you should do is you should not react to it. Just be aware of it. Let it come and let it go. Then your mind can remain calm.
My talent in sixth sense more clearly and more. It is make me worry and scared. Question number 1. When I feel negative feelings from another beings and see it will happen in the future, how can I control my feelings?
You just acknowledge it. Just be aware of what you see, what you know. But you should not react to it. Just accept things as they are. That there are nothing you can do about it. If it's something you can do about it for the better, for the good, for the benefit of others, then you should do it. But if it is something that you cannot do, then you just let it go, let it be.
Question number 2. When I know have Peta or Asura follow me, how to control my scared feelings?
Just use mindfulness. Just recite Bhutto, Bhutto, Bhutto and ignore what's following you. Then your mind can remain calm and not disturbed.
I am well able to keep the 8 precepts, but I still, even when I keep them, I indulge in food sometimes, or allowables, and that kind of spoils the observance of the precepts. And I was wondering how to approach that.
Well, if you still indulge in food, you should develop the perception of dirtiness or of unpleasantness of food. You should not think of food when it's on the plate. Rather, you should reflect the food when it goes into your mouth, mixed with your saliva, or when it in the stomach, or when you excrete it from your body. Think of food that way, then your indulgence for food will diminish or disappear. But if you reflect to the point where you can no longer eat, then you should stop reflecting. It means you overdose your medicine, your medication. But when you feel indulgent, just reflect, think of the food when it's not good looking to eat, not attractive for eating, like when it's in your mouth or in your stomach, or when you excrete it out of your body. Yeah. Then it can decrease or diminish your indulgence for food. Okay. Is that all for today? Okay.
Okay, so the question I want to ask you, it's about the jhana. Can you explain how to practice the fourth stage of jhana? And also, do we need to attain the fourth stage of jhana to be enlightened, to be arhan? Is it important or?
Yes, it's part of the prerequisite. See, jhana, they are like driving automatic car. Yeah. All you have to do is push on the speed pedal, and then the gear will shift automatically from 1 to 2, from 3 to 4. So when you practice meditation, you just concentrate on your breath. And then your breath, as you concentrate, you stop thinking less and less. Then the mind will shift from first jhana to second to third and fourth automatically. So you don't have to worry about shifting the gear. It will change automatically. All you have to do is concentrate on your breath and stop your thought about other things. The less thinking you have, the more calm your mind becomes, the deeper the jhana you will become. So when you stop thinking entirely, then you enter into the fourth jhana.
And how we can know we are on the second or the third jhana or the first jhana?
Well, usually you don't have to know. All you have to know is the fourth jhana. When you get there, your mind becomes completely still, like stopping your car, stopping your mind, and you feel a sense of release, no pressure, no stress, bliss, happiness, and your mind becomes neutral of emotion. No love, hate, fear, or delusion.
But only in meditation.
Yes, but if you do a lot, it can then accompany you when you come out of your meditation. So this is why you have to meditate all day. After you come out of your meditation, you have to continue with your mindfulness. Try to stop thinking, because when you think, it will stir up, will destroy the peace that you get from meditation. So you want to continue on with stopping thinking when you come out of meditation. And after you walk or do something, and when you're free, then you want to go back and sit some more to make it calm more and more. This calm can accumulate inside your mind. Then eventually your whole day will be calm, whether you're in or out of meditation. It's like putting water in the refrigerator. If you leave it for a while, the water becomes cool, right? So when you take it out, if you leave it out for a while, it can become warm again. So you have to keep putting back the water into the refrigerator and take it out and leave it for as long as it's still cool. When it starts to become warm, you have to put it back. So this is what happens. You have to do. You meditate. You want to calm and keep your mind cool. When you first come out, you still feel cool, feel released. But after a while, you start thinking, and so you should stop thinking, because the less you think, then the longer your mind will remain cool. Then when you feel you no longer have any cool, then you have to go back inside meditation again. This is what monks do all day long when during the stage of samadhi. This is what they do. They just keep going back into samadhi, staying for as long as possible. When they come out, they try to stop the mind from thinking. When they cannot no longer stop the mind from thinking, they go back inside again, until eventually the mind will become cool. When it comes out, it doesn't think, or think very little. Then you're ready to go to the next level, to develop wisdom.
So it means, for me, and I meditate 1 hour in the morning in France and 1 hour in the evening. But maybe it's better to meditate less in the morning and the evening, and meditate at midday or something like this, to have more time to meditate during the day.
Doesn't matter how you divide it. It depends on the amount of time you spend. You spend 1 hour, you divide into 2 sessions. It's the same thing as doing 1 session.
Yes, but it's like I put, if I think well, I put the water back in the refrigerator more often. if I do many times a day.
Well, if you put it often but you don't keep it long, it doesn't get cool. So it's the amount of time you put in the refrigerator that matters, not how often you put it back in. So what you need to do is come here and stay like 1 week, and then you can put your mind in the refrigerator all the time. See,
But after 1 week, the water coming
that's why you
around.
have to be. That's why you have to decide. You have to become a monk eventually. Yeah. What you do right now is just what you call amateur practitioner, not professional. So you cannot expect to win any prizes. If you want to win prizes, you have to become professional meditator. You have to meditate all day long, from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep. You always control your thought, stop your mind from thinking. And when you have nothing to do, then you go meditate. Then your mind will be continually calm and cool. Then it will be ready for the next level, to teach the mind to see the truth. And when you see the truth of anicca, dukkha, anatta, then you can let go. When you let go, then you have no longer have any dukkha with the thing that you let go. It's better to be without than to have something. When you have nothing, you are happier than having something. This is the experience you'll find when you practice. The less you have, the happier you become. The more you have, the more worry you have, the more anxiety you get. Okay? Next question.
Actually, the second question is when we during the day, when my mind lost to some thinking, and after I remember, I say, "Oh my God, I go somewhere else," So I have to bring back my mind to anywhere, to my breath or anything. But is it correct to say, okay, I bring back my mind to my breath, or to say I bring back my mind to what I was thinking?
You don't want to go back to thinking. You want to stop thinking. So bring back to your mantra or bring back to your breath. You don't want to continue on with your thoughts. You want to cut it off. As soon as you know that you are thinking, you should try to cut it off right away. Because the more you think, you start to think more and more, because it becomes a conversation.
Sometimes I think and I say, "Oh, I was in the past," or I was in the future. So I have to bring back to the present
Yes,
right now.
Yes, right now, here and now. Because whatever you think is not real. Past is already gone. Future is not here yet. The only thing real is now. So be here and now. And the best way to be here and now is to be quiet, be calm, no thinking, just being aware of what's happening. But don't react to what you see or what you hear.
And if I am aware of not my breath or not a mantra, but if I'm aware of what I'm doing now,
Yes,
I'm walking or I'm
yes.
speaking with somebody.
You can do that also. But you should not think. You should not be aware of things that you have to think. Like working, when you working on your taxes, you have to think. Being aware of this kind is not good because it doesn't stop your thoughts. You want to be aware on things that doesn't require your thoughts, like washing, bathing, brushing your teeth, eating. You don't use your thought. But when you have to work, like planning, you have to do your account, your money, your income, your expenses, then you have to use your thought. Even if you are mindful of what you do, it's still not the right kind of mindfulness for meditation. The right kind of mindfulness is to be mindful without thinking.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It's enough for today.
All right, good.
Okay, the two questions I have today, it's a personal questions. The first one I want to know, it's in my business, some of my customers, very few of them are very difficult people with a very bad education and they can speak very lovely. How do you have to behave with them? Do you have to tell them to go away? Or do you have to say to myself, okay, I have to be equanimous with them and keep them?
Well, you should be calm and not be disturbed by their behavior, because you cannot control their behavior. You should treat everything like the weather. Then you will not be disturbed. If you try to manage or try to control things or people, you can become frustrated and become discouraged and become, unhappy. So it's better just to accept things as they are.
But I don't want to control them, but I just want to know if it's better to break and to say, okay, we have to split our way because we are not some kind of people, or it's better to keep on and to say to myself, no, I have to keep this kind of people even they are not good people.
Oh, if you think they are not good and they can be harmful, then you should disconnect your relationship with them. The Buddha says, seek the company of the wise and avoid the company of the fool.
Okay, the second question I have. I notice when I'm very stressful when some problem occur to my family, like most of people. So even sometimes if it's very big problem, I cannot sleep during the night because it's come to my mind. I try to meditate in this case, to Buddha or to breath, but it doesn't do nothing. It keeps coming and coming and coming. So in this kind of case, what I have to do? Do I have to say to myself, okay, I can do nothing, so I don't sleep for all night and that's all? Or do I have to force myself on the mantra or on the breath?
Well, depending on what you can do. If you can use a mantra to calm your mind, then use it. If you cannot use the mantra, then you just use mindfulness. Just telling yourself, stop thinking. Stop thinking. What you think makes you sleepless, makes you not sleepy, and make you wide awake. And whatever that you think about, right now there's nothing you can do anything about it anyway. So why think about it? And if you cannot, then just let the system work itself out. You just lay there and just maybe do something like to distract your thought. If you cannot use mantra, maybe you can use counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just keep counting. Eventually the mind will get tired and then it'll go to sleep.
Or maybe sometime I put on the Dhamma talk.
Yeah.
And after 1 hour or 2 hours, my mind.
Yeah, you might stop thinking about
Yes.
the problem.
Yes.
Okay. But the best way, if you can solve the problem yourself by seeing the problem is just anicca, dukkha, anatta. Yeah. Things that you are worried about because you want it to be in a certain way, but it's not under your control. So it's like the weather. You know it's gonna rain, but you don't want it rain. Then you can become restless. So, but if you accept, okay, if it's gonna rain, let it rain. If this thing's gonna happen to this person or what this thing, let it happen. And once you accept the reality of the situation and not trying to change it, then your mind become calm. Your mind will then stop dealing with this situation.
And do you think it's because I don't have enough mindfulness
And
during the
wisdom,
day?
yeah. Mindfulness to force your mind to think rationally rather than emotionally. Your emotional side is stronger than your rational side. So your emotion wants to take control, wants to solve the problem. But if you use the rational side, then you see maybe it's something that you cannot do anything about.
Rational. When you say rational side, it means to see anicca, dukkha, anatta.
Yes, yes, according to reality, not according to your desire.
Hard job.
Okay. You have to train your mind to look at things as anicca, dukkha, anatta. You forget, see, but you don't forget, this problem will not arise. Because as soon as you want to solve this anicca, dukkha, anatta, you say, oh, it's anicca, dukkha, anatta. C'est la vie, you see. Okay.
Like yesterday, you say if we practice meditate, if we practice samatha, after that we can go to the second step. Is mean to Winslow, to Winslow. So Winslow is mean to see anicca, dukkha, anatta.
Yeah, to see and
in
remind
everything.
In everything. In this everything in this world that you see through your senses, your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body are all anicca, dukkha, anatta. And even inside yourself, your mind is also anicca, dukkha, anatta. So you have to understand their nature and then try not to go cross path with the reality. You should be harmonizing with reality, flow with reality. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think it's enough for today.
Okay.
I heard that Ajahn Mun spoke to the Buddha in his meditation. How can we do that?
You have to have upajjhara samadhi. Upajjhara samadhi is a special kind of samadhi in which you can access your psychic powers. You can then connect with the spiritual beings, such as the Buddha, the Arahant, the Devas, and so forth. You need to have this special power, special kind of samadhi, which in the world of the people who practice samadhi, very few people can access this ability. Maybe 5%. The rest cannot. Even those who have become an Arahant, sometimes they don't have achieved this spiritual power. But you don't need this spiritual power to get you to Nibbana. It's not necessary, and it could be harmful if you don't know how to deal with it, because it can distract your practice and mislead you to a different direction. So if you have this spiritual psychic power, you have to be careful. You should restrain using it and concentrate on your practice for the attainment of Nibbana first. Once you have attained to Nibbana, then you can use this psychic power to help you in your teaching. The Buddha uses psychic power to teach people, like Angulimala. He tried to chase after the Buddha so he could kill his 1,000 victims. But the Buddha uses psychic power, so regardless how fast he tried to run to catch up with the Buddha, he could not catch up with him, until he became as frustrated and asked the Buddha to stop running away from him. The Buddha said, "I didn't run. I'm still. I'm standing still. You're the one who's running. I have stopped. You haven't stopped." Then the Angulimala, what did you stop? I keep running after you. I cannot catch up with you if you stop running? The Buddha said, I stopped running after the kilesa, the defilement. Yeah. So that he then realized his situation. Angulimala realized he's running after the wrong thing. So he should run after the kilesa. So he then switches the target, and he's went chasing after his defilement until he got rid of all his defilement. Then he became an Arahant. So you can use psychic power to assist in your propagation of the Buddha's teaching. Ajahn Mun used his ability to connect with the Devas, the spiritual being who can come and listen to his Dhamma talks. Okay, thank you very much for all your questions. Hope this can help you in your path to enlightenment. And if you need any more questions, please do send in your question and we'll talk about it the next time. Thank you for your time and goodbye for now.